Hello there, Alex, Marketer's Delight, and I want to experiment with this new video series just to get myself going on videos and help answer your questions a little bit better. Go through the forums and or even in emails and answer the more interesting questions and see what we can do on video, see how quick that we can make them and how quick I can answer them for you. So to get started here, we have Peter. He posted in the forums. He wants to know how to hook custom HTML blocks into certain category pages only. And he read through some documentation, some MDTV episodes, and he has somewhat of an idea, but he kind of needs it to be clarified a bit. And I don't blame him. There's a bunch of different resources around and tons of different ways that this can be achieved. So he linked here to a site that he likes. He kind of wants to recreate a layout like this essentially. So looking over this, I would think that, well, the guys over at the Paleo NL site, they really know how to use Marketer's Delight in WordPress. They make a lot of cool sites. So if we were to want to replicate a similar layout to this, I would say that we would create a page and then we could make a template that lists all the latest posts from that category. So I'll go ahead and see what I can do with that on this video and try to make it a little bit interesting as well. So I'll just work on the MD site here, and I'm gonna. So he wants to essentially create a page like that. So let's see how I might do this. So I'll start with the test title. I have this subtitle plugin as well. So we're just gonna recreate like the page section of it. So yeah, there's not really gonna be much creativity in what I do here. So first we're gonna recreate that content area. So we have test title, some subtitle text, and we will be going into custom templates as well. But first, let's see what we're able to accomplish from our admin panel here. So I'm just going to find an image I could use as a background that will look at least decent. I want you to have something nice to look at. So I'll set a featured image and I'll use the headline cover feature. So let me just go to the MD site. I'll copy some text. I'll show you what we're about to have here. I just want to get something so it at least kind of looks like it's filled in. Maybe I'll just grab some text from this latest post here. I'll even all right, so I got some text here. I'll use an MD helper class. Sorry, I had to just reset my computer there for a second. So all we done is we just added a title. I have the subtitles plugin to add what's going to be the subtitle in the headline cover, and then I just threw in some text. So we'll preview that just to see what it looks like, and that'll open up. So all right, so this is all just default MD stuff. We have the featured image title, put in all of that stuff, and then you can fill up your content box just how you like it. So this is, what do we got? So that's about where we are. They have an extra email plugin to add in that kind of opt-in. So even if you wanted to use the MD email shortcode, maybe we'll see how that looks. I'll just throw that in there as well. It's probably not gonna be as extravagant looking, but we'll have a little opt-in in there. It's not the worst. And maybe I'll even, just because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, I'll use a little helper class there just to stretch it out and center it. So hopefully that little HTML will, all right, actually let me do this one, wrap small, so it's not at the edge, it's just kind of floating. So I'll give you guys the code to this. Yeah, so that looks a little bit better with that helper class. Just kind of expanded the container outside into the gutters a bit. So, all right, so we got our text, we got our opt-in form. Now this is probably what we're gonna dive in and do a little bit of custom template work, and I'll provide all this stuff for you in the notes of this. But so it looks like that this is just like a listing of latest posts from somewhere. Maybe it's like a category page or it's just the latest post in general, but we're gonna write a custom loop that will list all category posts, and we'll do it through a custom template. So let's say we only want to just build out this page to be that way. Maybe even, no, let's just do for this page. So we have a page, let me publish it just to be safe. So when we're trying to translate a page into like a custom template environment, I did a whole video on this, mastering the WordPress loop. You can see that at marketersdelight.net/TV. It's right here in the MDTV section, and it's episode number 6. You can check that out to kind of see more in depth. I'll just kind of blaze through it right here using what we already have. So I want to target the template of this page only, and Peter seems to have an understanding of that because he's already talking about how he was going to override different templates in his child theme. So I'm going to grab the ID here just because I usually like to work with IDs in certain cases when just because if the permalink is ever changing, I can change the permalink without messing up the template. So I think it should go page dash paste to ID.php. So if I view that, all right, I have a blank page, so that means that the template worked. So the way that I targeted this page, I could also do page/test title, just like that, just because that matches what the permalink is. But again, if I ever change that permalink, I don't want to disconnect the template. This is just one of many ways you can interact with templates in WordPress, but just for quickness sake, we're going to do it this way. Maybe, down the road, it's not the best way to organize it, but these things always depend on your whole system. So we have this blank file. As we can see, when we load the page itself, it's blank. So that's when we got to go in and hopefully you can see this okay, and add just our basics. So always start by adding your header and your footer. You can refresh it just to see that we have, sorry, my MD Slate's a little slow right now. So we just have our header and our footer. So we don't have anything in between. So we're gonna wanna go ahead and add back in the MD content box. So we're pretty much just rebuilding what we just had, but now we at least have the control over it. Let's comment this to separate things. So our content box and our footer, we'll save that, upload it, refresh it again, and then we can see that we have our content box again. So it looks like we just kind of did something tedious, but we have our full control now here. So we can just manually start building in our own HTML below it. So working in the MD, in my little MD child theme, just as you will on your own child theme, and again, go to the MDTV to familiarize yourself with child themes. So I want to recreate a teaser kind of loop, and Marketer's Delight already has a template for that already. So I'm thinking the best way is I'm going to go into the Marketer's Delight theme, and I'm going to look through all of the little content pieces we have, and I found that we have the loop teasers file. So this already has the HTML that's structured to display a looped content in a teaser layout already. So I'll have that, but first let's set up the HTML block for it. So this is how I usually like to structure it. So I'll just come up with a name, category loop, and then I'll use MD helper classes. I'll use the inner class to center the content so it's aligned with the content box rather than just sitting at the edge of the page. And then I like to kind of just add a parent container. So we'll add like text formatting. This might even be included. Yep, all right. So text formatting, spacer, and maybe we'll tweak that later. And then I'll just paste in the loop here. So by default, this is just going to list our latest blog post, and we're going to want to modify the loop so it pulls different content. But let's see what that just did, that little block of HTML and PHP. All right, so what do we have here? Okay, so right now this loop is actually just, it's connected to this page only. So it's looping through the WordPress loop, but it's in the context of this page. So it's not pulling anywhere. This is where we're gonna have to write in our custom loop. But it looks like just the spacing here, but it does look like our teaser template's working. We just need to feed it different content. So this is probably one where we'll make a custom loop. So we can use the WP query, and then it's an array. So this is where we'll set it to only show. So this is where we'll hijack the loop to make it only show categories or content from a category. So I want to go to my categories section now. And if I want to pull all the posts that are in the MD tutorials category, I'll open that category up, and then I'll grab the ID of that. You can always get the ID of a thing in your URL. So I'll do cat equals 6. And now I want to hook up my custom query to my loop. So I'll just change all the little WordPress instances of their loop to match my custom loop. So do category, then category have posts, category the post, and I think that's all of them. So let's see what that does. Nice. So that loop changed now to our custom loop only. So now this is listing teaser content from any post that's in the MD tutorials category. So the nice thing about having all this HTML is that I could control exactly what's showing here. So if I wanted to get rid of that byline, there's kind of a bunch of stuff here. I just want to keep this simple and then let them go, click the pop-ups and stuff once they're actually on the page itself. So maybe I just want to get rid of the byline here. No problem. Refresh that and then see that the byline's gone. So that looks a little bit cleaner. Maybe I want to get rid of the excerpt as well and replace it with a button. So I found that excerpt tag. That's right there. I'll just replace it with a button. So I'll use the permalink function, and then I'll add a little button. So like orange button, I'll make it small, and I'll add an arrow, button arrow. And then I'll say something like read more. So now each teaser, instead of having all that text, it'll just have a little orange button that says read more, and it links right to it, right to wherever the page is. And you'll even see that this teaser is the only one that has an image, and that's because this post actually has a featured image. So if I wanted images to show up here, I would just need to go edit that post, whichever it is, and then add an image through featured image, and then it'll already pulled up. So you can see that it's just using this pretty nice image already. Whereas this table of contents post, it has this image, but it looks like I didn't use that as a featured image, so it's not gonna pull. So you have to upload it to that featured image section where you can remember that we did that here. So that's just an example of what you might do with the loop. It looks like that they have a title here as well. So I'll even throw that in real quick. So we can probably put that right here. So I'll add category loop title. I'll just give that its own little HTML container, and then maybe I'll just make it an H2, and then check out these latest posts or whatever. And then they also added another little subtitle as well. So I'll give it the small title class. And I might want a spacer, but we'll see. So we'll refresh that just to see what it looks like. All right, cool. So let's do a couple things here. I'll add the text center class, and I'll also add some margin just to create some spacing. So I'll refresh that. All right, so now it's centered and it's got a little bit of spacing in between. So it looks like we're matching. It looks like we're starting to match, and then they just have a little section down here for books, so that's like another column. So back into our template, we have our header, content box, and then our little category loop with tons of control over each little teaser item because it's a loop. So each one of these boxes is whatever is within the loop itself, the while loop. So that's pretty cool. So that's our category loop section. Now we'll create another section for those columns. 2, 5. So another section, we'll call this, I don't know, column section. These are pretty bad names, but hopefully it's, you know, generic enough for you to be able to use. Column section, and we want it to be white, so we can use the box class. You know, I know all these classes just because I make Marketers Delight, and I put all the CSS in there. So you can refer to marketersdelight.net/styles, and you can see a ton of other classes that you can use. It makes things pretty quick. You don't have to write CSS in a lot of cases. So I'll use the columns container. Actually, I'll do the title area first. So I'll do like a column section title, like that. I'll make this another H2. Call it like recommended reading or something. And then I'll center that and add spacing there as well. So actually, let me add that whole wrapper so we can add text formatting and then some spacing on the container. So I'm going to put everything that inside of this inner HTML will get text formatting, and then it's going to also just add some spacing in between the container as well. So that's my title area. Now I'll do the column section. So class equals columns. Let's do 4 columns, single. This is how I like to create columns in MD. And then each little HTML here, block here, will have a column class. So let me grab an image now. I'll go to my media library and see if I can find anything that kind of looks like a book. So I got tons of stuff here. Let's see. All right, I'll use this. I'll just use this image a bunch of times. So each one of these little column HTML containers is going to be an image. So I'll just do column 1, 2, 3, 4. And just so it's easier for you to see, I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. So, all right, so let's see what that's gonna look like now. So we're gonna add, so that's gonna add a new section below these little teasers here. And we'll see how it came out. Boom, 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 and recommended reading, cool. So it just has a little column boxes here. And the nice thing about using MD helper classes is that, you know, reusing what's in MD is that everything's going to be responsive. So if we pretend like we're on the phone right now, we can see that all that custom stuff we added, you know, maybe some things need a bit of tweaking. We'll even add spacing there. So we're looking at this category loop section on mobile, and we can see that the only spacing helper class that I used was the block double top bottom. So maybe I'll do block single left right to add left right spacing to it too, just so it's not touching the border. There you go. So that looks a lot better. Let me add it to just this container because the teasers don't need it. All right, so that looks better then. And then probably want the same deal, so I want to add even some spacing in between the columns as well. So I'll add this little helper class as well. Again, you know, maybe this doesn't look like the best HTML, but it's going to save you from writing a lot of CSS. I mean, we basically have this page done already, you know? So that's what I like about using helper classes. Let's just add double spacing to the whole container. Cool, so now that little helper class adjustment just made the whole section a lot more, you know, breathable. So this is kind of what it would look like on mobile. And then this is what our whole page looks like with our custom loop. So it's nice that that loop's going to be pulling all this stuff without us ever having to update it. So that hopefully answers your question. I will supply you with the template that I made here. It's pretty quick, but you saw it come to life with your own eyes, you know, if you made it this far in the video. And yeah, all you saw that this content boxes can be completely done from your edit page section, and then the rest of it was just done with our custom loop. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. I hope this was interesting for some of you, and let me know what you think of these quick little video series that I'm going to do. So if you have any more questions, let me know. I'd love to do a video on it. So